We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Going down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Song like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I would be stupid if we not on it.
Watch me flex.
As Pope Leo XIV marks his first Easter as pontiff.
Raccomandiamo tutti I cuori.
This Easter's Urbi et Orbi message, a Latin phrase meaning to the city and the world, a sweeping papal address on global affairs, delivered only at Christmas, Easter, and at the election of a new pope.
La croce di Cristo.
The 70-year-old born in Chicago calling for peace around the world, with Russia's war in Ukraine in its 5th year, and the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran now in its 2nd month.
E imploriamo il Signore.
On this day of celebration, let us abandon every desire for conflict, domination, and power, and implore the Lord to grant his peace to a world ravaged by wars.
Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. Online, on time, oh so bold. Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Where's to know and where's to grow, a temporal rainbow. I can be anything. So take a look, it's in a book, a temporal rainbow. A temporal rainbow. A temporal rainbow. So this show is becoming very long, and I've talked a lot about Then There Was Bows and Checkmate Bitch. I think I'm going to have to make that a two-parter, and it's great because that means I just have enough content that I don't really have to worry about recording for upcoming weeks. But I do want to talk as much as I possibly can about what I've been reading and paying homage to the 60th anniversary of the original series of Star Trek. And I'm recording it on Easter. While there aren't any specific episodes about Easter, but there have been several significant references to Christ and the Passion story throughout many of the franchise. One, because Gene Roddenberry was what is called a secular humanist. Basically, it's a religion where a god or similar is not the main focus. So, but there was in Bread and Circuses on the original series that it gets, that's how close it gets to the Passion story. The crew visits a planet that is essentially a 20th century version of the Roman Empire. There are even televised gladiator fights. The plot, Kirk and Spock encounter a group of peaceful rebels who are described as sun worshippers. The twist, Uhura clarifies that they aren't worshiping the sun in the sky, but the Son of God. Kirk closes that episode by reflecting on the historical parallel and acknowledging that Christianity is beginning on this planet just as it did on Earth. He says, Caesar and Christ, they had them both, and the word is spreading. And then I don't recall seeing this on Strange New Worlds, but there was a crisis of faith of Captain Christopher Pike. In the season 2 finale, Hegemony, Pike is seen kneeling and reciting the Our Father. This show established that Pike was an altar boy in his youth. While he describes himself as someone who struggles with faith, his use of Christian liturgy in a crisis is the most direct modern link to the Passion tradition in Trek. There's also the empath. This is when, in the original series, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are tortured by aliens to test the compassion of a mute woman named Kira. The themes of selfless suffering and laying down one's life for a friend heavily mirror the theology of the Passion. And in Who Mourns for Adonais, the crew encounters the Greek god Apollo, where Kirk famously remarked, mankind has no need for gods. We find the one quite sufficient. While ambiguous, it widely is interpreted as a nod to monotheism. Then Data's Day, he mentions the Hindu festival of life, Diwali, is celebrated on the ship. It shows that Earth holidays still exist, though Easter is never shown. And then on Voyager, the doctor, the holographic medic, actually portrays a Catholic priest in a holodeck simulation of an Irish village, which includes a church and traditional religious services. While the crew doesn't necessarily hunt for Easter eggs per se, in episodes like Bread and Circuses is definitely the best bet for some type of Easter adjacent commentary as far as the Star Trek universe. And then in the novel that I'm continuing to read, there's themes of martyrdom, resurrection, and the passion of the savior figure, who of course is a white man in 24th century, no doubt. Zephyr Cochrane, the inventor of the warp drive. And I'm recording it on Earth Day or Warp Day or Zephyr Cochrane Day, whatever you want to say about it. In the books past, It's set during World War III, where Zephyr Cochrane is portrayed as a weary, persecuted figure. He's hunted by Andric Thorson, which is Pontius Pilate adjacent, who wants to turn his life-giving technology into a weapon of mass destruction. This is the fascist Andric Thorson. Cochrane carries the sins of humanity's violent past on his shoulder, and he's just exhausted, and he just wants to give humanity the stars to save them from their own self-destruction on Earth. The literal survival or resurrection of this is the reconciliation or the discrepancy of Cochrane being from Earth versus from Alpha Centauri. The book frames his move to Alpha Centauri as a departure, followed by a rebirth in the new society. The novel leads to the events of the original series of metamorphosis, where a dying Cochrane is resurrected and made young again by the companion. This is a transcendent, almost divine transformation. The climax of the book involves Cochrane literally appearing in 24th century to help Captain Picard rise from the past to save the Federation's future. I don't know how, because I haven't gotten that far yet. There's a mysterious letter, like a last will and testament of sort, written by Cochrane and hidden for centuries. This is the relic that links Kirk and Picard across time. They believe in Cochrane's vision is treated with a level of reverence that mirrors religious faith. Picard in particular views Cochrane not just as a scientist, but as a foundational prophet of the Federation's peaceful ideas. There's a scene where Cochrane is hiding out in a secluded area, reflecting on the coming destruction of the Earth and his role in it. The tone of these chapters is somber and they're heavy, with the weight of the world echoing the loneliness of the passion narratives, night in the garden before the final trial. Wow. While this book is a hard sci-fi crossover, it functions as a secular passion play. It tells the story of Cochrane, who suffers through the global apocalypse, World War III, but it offers humanity salvation through the light of warp drive. Disappears and is ultimately resurrected through the grace of an alien entity and the legacy he leaves behind. This connection to Easter is the emotional arc of a flawed man becoming a transcendent symbol of hope for all mankind. That's why I think I'm enjoying this book so much, and there's so many other angles you can take as you read it, but the parallels to the holiday that we're currently in and the day, April 5th, that I'm recording this, I think is right in sync with all of those things. And I hope you enjoy reading and listening to this segment of the episode as much as I've enjoyed creating it. Happy Easter, and a happy Easter it is. It's cloudy on the outside, but I'm feeling great on the inside, and just in time for this section of protecting the peace and decreasing my inflammation journey. It's wild that I am recording this on Easter and the significance of eggs as well, that has become to symbolize new life, rebirth, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The actual hard shell is the sealed tomb. It's the fertility and new life that has been celebrated in ancient cultures. It's all incorporated into most spring celebrations. This isn't just enough time for me to talk about a supplement that I've started taking, as far as that has been touted to increase collagen as well as regrowth of cartilage. And I was like, why? How is that possible? One of the ingredients is UC2, which is an undenatured type 2 collagen. You would think it would not be able to get past the acidity of the stomach, but it does. It's oral tolerance. What it does is small amounts of the active protein gets to your Peyer's patches, which is in your small intestine. This trains your immune system to stop attacking your own joint cartilage. This and you got to work on your big backness. And it's hard when food tastes good, but I digress. The triple helix structure of the undenatured collagen is tough. While some of it is broken down, enough remains intact to trigger the immune response in the gut. The ovomet, which is the eggshell membrane, I believe this is the inside portion. There's like the hard shell, and then there's a lining of the shell. It is a complex that also contains collagen, hyaluronic acid, glucosamine, and chondroitin. Acid actually helps break that tough membrane apart, and it releases the glucosamine and chondroitin so that you can be absorbed in your small intestine. Once it's broken down into smaller parts, these nutrients enter the bloodstream, and then they're transported to the joint cells, which are called chondrocytes, to assist in repair and lubrication. So, although initially I had some serious bubble gut when I actually started taking this supplement, but since I was instructed to have something on my stomach, first mix it up really well, take half of the supplement in the middle of what your breakfast or when you're eating, and then take the other half after you finish eating, because this decreases your transit time, so you won't basically run it through or let it run through your system before any of the good components can be extracted. Because it can, if you have rapid transit time through your gut, it can basically exit your system virtually unchanged. And all you do is get a hot butt because of the increased acidic point of it. So if you have a little bit of reflux, make sure you take your Pepsid, but at the same time, do the sandwich motif, and that'll decrease it so it can slow down, break apart, and get to where it needs to get to. And you may actually start within a few days. Probably give it up to a week to see changes, because this, as well as consistently utilizing heat and infrared and even laser therapy, a lot of these things can decrease the inflammation, maybe support regrowth of your cartilage, and give you the mobility that you're going to need, because this next stage, this is going to be, if you're going to be this year of travel and mobility, you're going to need to be able to walk. And that's a word right there. Jesus Christ died for our sins, the ultimate sacrifice to save mankind. So how do you deal with someone that wants to use their life as their own cross. Didn't Christ die so we wouldn't have to be crucified? Isn't he the ultimate sacrificial lamb? So us humans, why, instead of celebrating the fact that he died that we may live, we should never forget that ultimate sacrifice. So what can we do as living as good humans so we don't have to be martyrs, so we can just exist, do good for everyone and for ourselves, enjoy life? When it becomes pathologic, when you get caught in a state of continual martyrdom because you think that is your purpose in life, I think just like sovereign citizenship is a perversion of democracy, I think professional martyrs are a perversion of Christianity and faith. You can't tell me this, we're calling this ultimate sacrifice so you can continue to hang on the cross. Girl, bye. I ain't got time for that. And it is a perversion of faith. And you now have converted or gotten over into some psychological crap that you're probably not going to want to hear. You're not going to want a counselor or someone that is trained in psychological pathology to tell you that you now are a psychological mess. I start thinking of these things in my dealing with a professional martyr because I don't like to give clinical labels because I'm not a psychiatrist. And in fact, I had an allergic reaction to my whole psychiatric clerkship, but that's a story for another day. I start thinking of narcissism and narcissistic traits, and I know in this millennial world, those words are thrown around. Narcissism personality disorder is a DSM-5 diagnosis. I'm more so interested into what is narcissism or narcissistic traits. Narcissism is stamped by a pattern of grandiosity. These people need to be admired. They really lack empathy, although they think they're connected to other people and they can pick up things and they feel things deeper. But it's also, they really don't have empathy because they wouldn't continue to do what they do. They have an inflated sense of self-importance. Only I can save the church that I'm in, and nobody works harder than me. They are preoccupied by fantasies, unlimited success, power, or the perfect home or legacy. They think they're unique. They can only be understood by or should only associate with other special or high status people or institutions. They are an unending well of need. They don't just want people to say, I'm doing a good job. They want to be told they are a saint for doing it. And even though they say it doesn't bother them when they don't even get a janky going away party, it really does bother them because they think they're a saint. And nobody else would stay there. People would basically come, test the heat, and then basically bounce, but they stayed, which was only self-serving. They think they're entitled. Automatic compliant, you must be nice to them. That kind of nonsense. They are exploitive. They take advantage of others to achieve their own ends. They call people to vent while ignoring that maybe I just don't want to talk because I usually don't talk to people. And now I know what your MO is. I'm good on you, and I don't need to talk to you every single day. They don't recognize or identify with the needs or feelings of others. They are intensely envious of others. They count other people's coins and believe others are envious of them, and that's far from truth. They are also very arrogant because they think they're right. They think what they're doing because it suits their needs, and other self-righteousness, nobody else can tell them anything. They are willing to jump off the cliff and take you with them if it satisfied their need to be a martyr. They are both vulnerable and they can be narcissistic. Instead of bragging by how rich they are, they brag about how much they suffer. They use their struggle as a badge of moral superiority. They drop stuff like grunts of affirmation or of deprecation and must be nice to make someone else's success feel like a personal attack on their victim identity. That's why you kind of need to avoid people like this. If you're trying to do a staycation or you're just trying to go somewhere to regroup and gather your own peace, because they don't want your advice, they just want an audience, and it makes them feel good, and it doesn't ever dawn on them that maybe I don't want to hear the bullshit. So this is not, I don't think when you identify narcissistic traits in someone, it's not an insult. It's an accurate characterization that is going to give you a roadmap to basically deal with them. You can't fix narcissism with logic because they don't want to be fixed. They just want to be validated. Because if they really were to acknowledge that you are right, that means she has to acknowledge her own fallibility, and what is left of their ego, which is big, won't allow them to do that. While people think of narcissists as people looking in a mirror, but most narcissists are too busy looking at their own wounds. They use their pain to control the room. If your help is met with must be nice or you don't know anything, you aren't dealing with a logic problem. You're dealing with a personality pattern. While don't try to diagnose someone because you're going to punch them, but you got to pivot before you punch them, for real, y'all. Just use the knowledge to protect yourself. Once you realize that they lack empathy, then you don't be surprised when they want to ruin your vacation. Or they can say offhand stuff, oh, if I could take PTO, I would be right there with you. And I'm like, well, dude, that's a dig right there. Because you basically said, if I could take PTO, you can take time off. You just won't get paid, but you should have planned for it. That's not me. And why are you going to, and that really states how messy you are, to let it know that you still are kind of envious, and that's a put down to me because I actually have a job where I have paid time off to do whatever I want to. And no, I don't want to be on my time off to listen to you vent over bullshit that you could have changed yourself. I'm good on that. I want to sit, read in peace, and enjoy the few minutes I have off because I do have to go back to work that next day. When someone acts self-righteous and arrogant despite all the chaos, that is grandiosity masking the deep-seated shame of all the chaos that they're going through on their life. You really can't fix stupid and you can't fix a narcissist. And when they try to hijack conversations, you basically got to hit them with a, wow, that sucks. I got to go. And when they grunt and say, well, why you got to go, want to get off the phone, and they seem genuinely hurt that you don't want to not talk to them about nothing, that's on them. That's a their problem. That's not a me problem. Every time someone basically grunts disapproval over your wins, it is a threat to their ego. Because your own success is the noise that drowns out their signal. If you're personally doing well, it highlights that they could be doing well too. But they choose not to. Your stability makes their chaos look like a choice, and they hate that. They grunt as a dismissal to make their life feel small, so they can say that theirs is big when it really isn't. What I do is, certain people I know can't go wherever I want to go. I'm going to stop inviting people to my home because I don't want that type of energy to be in my home. And I know how, if you've already told me you don't know how to enjoy things, and yeah, I don't need that kind of negativity energy in my house. I also don't need anybody in my home that's going to constantly count coins. I'm good on you. I'm genuinely good on people that raise my cortisol level, because that's associated with sickness, it's associated with cancer, and it's associated with perpetual inflammation. And I'm nerds to that this year. I'm not going to continue to throw seeds on concrete and expect them to grow. And some people's mind, when they're that set in their ways and their own martyrdom, is concrete. If I don't tell you about my wins and I keep the conversations short, that decreases me being deflated, and it decreases growth of resentment, because growth of resentment also leads to inflammation, and I'm not trying to do that. That's how I'm going to keep that's how you keep whatever win you have pristine and protected in your own resort. You have to stop giving people the ammunition to shoot down your mood. Conversations with these types of people have to get shorter in order for you to live longer and to increase your peace. If you notice that the least amount of time you spend talking to these people and you're not mad and you can enjoy your time and it feels like you're just luxuriating in peace, that's what it's supposed to be. It's too bad that they're so into their own chaos and they misunderstand everything, and they don't want to get released from the chaos and their victimhood, because they legit think that is what their life is all about, and they can't see anybody else going through anything else. Just because they want to call to vent, they can do that with somebody that gets paid to do that. And shame on them for basically making you their free therapist, destroying your peace and increasing your inflammation. The way you got to have a counter move. You got to basically be playing chess while they playing Hungry Hungry Hippo. That statement's going to come up later in the podcast episode. When they want to rant about some chaos that they could have changed, you basically hit them with, wow, that sucks. Now I got to go check on my coffee. I'll talk to you later. They're going to be astonished. They're going to be like, oh, okay. It's going to shock the crap out of them. But you got to pivot. You got to prolong your life, because some people are literally there to decrease that. If they can't clap for me, they don't get to hear the music. I can't fix stupid. And I definitely can't fix someone with strong narcissistic traits. But I can fix my own boundaries. If every time you want to share a win and they just grunt in disapproval, stop sharing the win. You got to build your own silent resort and invite people who know how to celebrate. My joy is way too expensive to be spent on someone committed to being miserable, and that's how I protect my peace. Also, that is setting that silence and decreasing yourself. If they can't celebrate you, then you don't need to be in my court. You keep your eye on them over there. That's why I had to explain to someone. I explained to somebody that came to clean my RV. We had a very compelling conversation about blocking and not seeing people and being okay with it. And really not living around family, because I know what that means. My piece is way too expensive. I don't have a lot to give, or any to give, or want to give. There's also the bypass. There's something else that you got to basically do, because a narcissist or someone with strong narcissistic tendencies needs your reaction to feel alive. They want you to get frustrated, give advice, or feel sorry for them. When you basically hit them with a wow, that sucks, and you change the subject, you're not giving them the currency, which is emotion. When you follow up with that wow, that sucks, and change the subject, you're essentially saying, your crisis is a choice, but my peace is my priority. You don't give them what they want. So they'll basically start complaining that you don't want to talk to them, or they feel shut out. And then you remember just why you could go months and weeks and years without talking to them, and they still have not changed. And that literally is okay. I'm not going to waste time on someone that wants to stay sick. I want to retain that type of energy to basically record my podcast and do what I do. So the gangster of it all is when they say that they want to complain about everything chaotic in their life, which is a choice. I would basically say, woo, that sounds exhausting. Anyways, I'm getting ready to roll up on this amazing canyon. I'm ready to walk into this casino, or just coffee's calling my name. I'll talk to you soon. Click up. Because you basically have to take back your own peace. You can't fix someone with narcissistic trait, but you can control how and when you interact with them. When you do an anyway bypass to protect your own sanity, it's not being rude, it's being environmentally conscious. It's being emotionally intelligent, because you're trying to offer advice that they don't want and they're not going to follow. I'm not going to basically act concerned about labs that you may look at, your doctor explains, but you want me to get involved with. I'm not going to do that anymore, because I'm not your doctor. I still have to live while you still trying to die. And you can't protect someone. Again, you can't protect somebody that don't want to live or does not know how to enjoy life. This is how you vampire proof your own personal joy, your own personal peace, and giving that a 10 out of 10. You celebrate the silence, and in that celebrate the peace and just have a blast. That's how you enjoy life. That's why I can truly say Happy Easter, because that sacrifice was just so much that I don't have to sacrifice. I don't have to be a martyr. I can truly say that. I don't have to put a Debbie Downer on anybody and say Happy Resurrection Day, because I know the death and resurrection of Christ was the greatest miracle of them all. It keeps me from having to do those things, and it reminds me every single day to be a good person, to enjoy life, take nothing for granted, take nobody else for granted. Nothing is going to, and me leaving a prosecutory life is not going to do that. I just have to live life, be at peace, and be happy. And that's the ending word for how you continue to combat inflammation. You basically make a choice to be joyous and to be happy and just live your life and treat everyone like you want to be treated, and just be human. Be happy. Protect your peace to continue to be happy.
Let's calibrate the frequency on this one. The swamp is crowded, full of underfed, frozen-faced predators, snapping at marbles, desperate to be the chosen editors. They call it a lifestyle, but the game is just a rigged simulation. A no-win test designed to force a toxic confrontation. But the operator arrived with a full-blown session. No damsel in this room, no victim waiting for a cape. Just a mogul in the shadows, measuring the shape. Let's calibrate the frequency on this one.
Just when I thought I was not going to be commenting on reality TV, here comes Sierra Miller from Summer House and just a firestorm of microaggressions and racist BS. Here's a breakdown. I wouldn't have commented on it until I saw Katie Gianella, formerly of Real Housewives of OC. She actually was on, I believe, 2 seasons. But since she was fired, because nobody would film with her, and the production wouldn't force anybody to film with her, she's come back with a vengeance. She wanted to basically position herself above all of the weird dynamics, especially from a racist standpoint, that she, even in OC, which has struggled with diversity and inclusivity, they dismiss microaggressions of people of color on that cast. Katie was one of the first, and only that remains memorable. That other Kelly Dodd bitch, she don't count. She just tan with a bad spray tan job. But anyways, but before I get back to Katie, I wanted to go over what's the deal with this Sierra Miller. Her controversy is not going to want me to watch Summer House. That particular show is for a dynamic that I'm not in. I'm in my 50s. I'm African American. Don't care about them skinny bitches in Martha's Vineyard. I just don't. But she adds to a deeper and heavier conversation. My goal also is not to use words like dark or black humor, because those things also have a racist connotation. So I'm not going to be using those words. I'm actually going to be using heavy conversation. There was a photo, and everybody's is run through social media about Sierra Miller was dumped by another white castmate. But it's her, the conversation speaks to how black women, in particular this black woman, is treated in Bravo verse, particularly when it comes to dating. There is a fetish dynamic. There's a social currency that refers to the idea that some white men want the clout or the cool factor of dating a high profile black woman, but aren't really actually interested in the reality of her life, her culture, or the protection she requires. Sierra is basically pointing out the structural fetishization she experienced. It creates a massive ideological clash. One is asking for her humanity to be recognized when everybody around her is asking her to stop talking about it. There's a weaponized ignorance in people that say they don't see color. It basically invalidates the lived experiences of people of color like Sierra. Sierra has pointed out that she was used for clout, and it's a heavy real world issue, often called misogynoir, that gets flattened when people that treat it just like another reality TV squabble. It's a usual from Who Leaked Who to the press, and it's about a drama that's more uncomfortable and systemic, points out the systemic nature of and rampant nature of racism. That's the kind of discourse that makes you want to turn off the TV, yet you're like watching, it seems like I'm just watching a crowd cash in slow motion. This comes out of a lack of care that women of color are shown in the Bravo verse, I think. There's a trash heap element that men want the aesthetic and the clout that comes with being with her, but they actually won't stand up for her as she faces racist vitriol and when she needs other emotional protection. From what I understand, she does have some issues, but she needs one that she needs somebody that is willing to go the rounds with her, not just to have somebody beautiful on their arm. They want the arm candy, but they don't want the decay that can actually come with it and the fix, what the fix actually is. All of the back and forth, it seems like it's a master class in internalized bias, and it's also performative. It's comes off and it's not entertaining, and it comes off as a depressing social experiment. And also, Katie Gianelli, for all of her lying, I do believe that someone like Shannon Bedore, who is known to be annoying, and I could see her saying that nobody cares about race, and she was making it an issue where one didn't exist. But then you have to talk about, although Kirchenheider is likable, she also was on some microaggression BS too, talking about kimchi smell and Asian designer, and it was all shut down. And basically, Katie was told to take it. Seems like she was told to take it on the chin. There's also a gaslighting narrative that she was subjected to. And it was basically, no one cares about race but you. It's basically saying they're just trying to silence you because they're trying to keep this show comfortable for white viewers, which is bullshit. Women of color of the Katie Janelle, the Katies of the world, and the Sierras of the world. It's a hard place to be. And they just don't, it's like, this is their, well, it seems like this is what Sierra is doing. And it is, they are in this trope where a cycle where you get into where you are recruited to provide flavor and social currency. And this is just not with Sierra and her trying to date white men. This is a lot of people that end up on these shows that when you get into the Bravo verse, you get invited in, they fetishize your culture, your look, then they gaslight the hell out of you when you mention race, and then you get fired for not fitting in. That usually seems that is the trope. And no, I'm definitely not, I would never be a Shannon Bedore because she's been problematic since she basically came on that franchise. Katie, maybe finally, in this instance, maybe finally telling the truth, but I don't think she has what it takes to actually be able to survive the shark-infested water that is the Real Housewives franchise. And it's absolutely exhausting seeing them being chewed up by this. You know what I mean? When it becomes too much work, or when they become too much work, meaning the Katie Janelle's, and it looks like Sierra, she may be in danger, girl. When they keep pointing out and asking for basic respect and bias, they seem to be gearing up to be let go. And they come up with that blanket excuses. They just did not fit in. Her recent experience with Amanda Batula and Wes Wilson where her friend told Wes to move on from Sierra, and then they hook up and they actually get a new job. It's not about petty drama. It's about watching someone's humanity be traded for a storyline. I'm wondering who is going to actually get a tell-all instead of just another reality show that kind of is unscripted but is heavily produced, and then you can't blame shit on the edits. That would be interesting to find out who is going to really tell the truth and if anybody is going to be listening. Now, the flip side of that is how Bose has flipped the script on these bitches. And this is the blueprint. Garcelle recently stormed out in a hail of Swarovski crystals and a great weave and a beat face where was just done and over it. She was useful. And she went from useful ally to a dismissed outsider, all in the blink of a couple of seasons. Garcelle had a cool factor about her. She was Hollywood royalty. Everybody remembers Fancy. But when she came into that and she started checking microaggressions, and we saw how Sutton's mother treated her, and how the Fox Force 5 pivoted, because when she called out their BS, yeah, she was just done being a punching bag, because she had something else to do that was beyond this show. Garcelle was treated poorly, and Sutton was just great that she was one of her friends was finally accepted who did not support her, Kyle Richardson. And Sutton was supported by the black girl that her mother was actually treating like crap. Nobody called it out. When Sutton was finally got into the cool girl group, the dynamic shifted, and Sutton, in whatever inebriated or sedated state she was in, she was cool when it was cool that she had a backup or ally in Garcelle, but when Garcelle basically gave up the deuces after she saw that she was tossed over for the pretty white girl, yeah, it was a wrap. I kind of had it just seemed that Garcelle, during her last season of the show, she was kind of just over being shut out by Sutton and being corrected and sweet-teed by that lady. And it was a wrap. She just didn't and would not and could not tolerate her being who she actually was. And it was just hurtful to see. And it's just so crazy that they were like, oh, I don't know why she won't talk to me. Yeah, bitch, we know why. You need to watch that season and see how you treated that woman to realize that there was no ever. Everybody had been saying it was a relationship of convenience. Now you're actually proving it. And now you don't know why she ain't talking to you, why she ain't returning your text, why you're not being invited over to that beautiful beach house. Girl, shut up and get out my face. And then there was Bozoma St. John. Her introduction on season 15 as a boy, that is Bo's word, for Dorit Kemsley, who is a never-ending well of need. She split from PK and had a major fallout with Kyle because her working this victim angle for 3 seasons now is how she basically, it seems like Dorit has kept her job. She needed someone like Bose, who was called Boss mistakenly by Kathy Hilton. And don't get it wrong, she didn't make a mistake, because as soon as Bose actually does flex, Kathy Hilton's not going to be able to use her confused grandmother trope to actually play Bose, because Bose has basically programmed this game. And we can also see that Bose is getting ready to be prepped. They're trying to get her a villain status so they can make a judgment or support de facto firing her, when I think she's getting ready to yell dominoes on these bitches. Here it is. Bose ain't taking no shit from anybody, the Fast Fab, any of them. I think also that game recognizes game, and they're not going to push up on that 6-foot-something black woman who looks like a Amazon warrior queen. Yeah, they ain't going to fuck with Bose. Because we see her in that monotone, breathy, annoying voice of the money queen, Amanda Francis, is because she keeps calling out her business as scammy or cult-like. If the only thing that you can take from Bo's resume, which is very glamorous, and everywhere that she went, she was that bitch. And seems like she left on her own accord and with a significant amount of money every time in every role that she went to. If the only thing that you can pull up is the one class that did not do well, then that's sus right there. From someone that has been accused of buying reviews and a cult-like nature, and you manifested this great business and was able to buy Kyle Richards' house, okay, so can Bose. And her flex is going to be that she's going to be able to do it either on her own or with the help of her now fiance, who they are going to get married. And you still living in Kyle's old house after tearing it up with a man that is your fiance, but y'all have he got some stuff going on because y'all have been living up in that bitch and still are not married. And why you're being dismissed is because the math ain't mathing. But the Dorit of it all is Dorit is using Bose's strength and badass reputation to protect herself from Kyle and Erica. Once she feels secure again, you better believe it. Or once the mean girl heat gets too high, or once Bose becomes too aggressive or not a fit, you would think that Dorit would try to leave her to fend for herself. But the flip side is, what if Bose already gives her the deuces and she doesn't even realize it because she's so self-absorbed, she's not going to realize it. The idea that they are still seen hanging out after the whole debacle that was this past reunion, and a lot of what, and the reunion and what seems to be going on with the blow up after leaving Florence, and how clueless Dorit is. If it has not been for Bose co-signing some of the things that Dorit says, because I know Dorit Kemsley is known delusional, I wouldn't believe that they were still actually supporting each other. Without seeing Dorit at the most important things in Bose's life, like, is she helping with the planning? Is she in the wedding party? Is she going to be at the Ghanaian wedding? What is going on with Dorit? That realization. I don't recall seeing Dorit when Bose basically did that flex, giving her kid a Maserati. I don't see that. I'm going to call this for what it is. It is a relationship of convenience. And once Dorit gets tired, or she basically has some type of inroads back in with the cool white girls of the group, she's probably already going to be dropped from Bose. And it's going to be so dramatic. She's going to be so dramatic, like she's not going to know what happened. She's going to act like Sutton Stratt. That's going to be the gag when I think Erica and Kyle are going to be real tired of her. Sutton is just going to be so happy to be, because she's a social climber too. She's going to just be happy to somebody. I think Sutton Strack is then going to latch on to Dorit and take her under her rings, because she knows how it feels to be on the outside looking in and wanting to be inside the club. When you think about how they tossed aside Garcelle because she basically was a force multiplier and she pointed out their BS, and then she got labeled difficult. Bose, until her power makes the veteran white cast members look weak or scammy, then she becomes a bully. It is so mind-boggling to me how they are so much more successful in the real world than almost anyone else on that cast that they should be grateful just to be in the room. However, what if Bose know that she has built rooms that these women would be grateful to even walk through? And she knows that they're getting ready to come for her. So she is playing a much bigger game than any of them are probably even realizing, because all of them are self-righteous, self-absorbed, and they are such white women that it is mind-boggling. Do you really think that someone like Bozoma St. John, the most overqualified person to ever step foot on that set, after being the CMO of Netflix, Endeavor, and Uber, she would just stumble into the self-reality trap? She figured out the room, architected it, and then she gonna walk away just like the boss that she is. And I'm using that in the accolade sense and not the diminutive sense that I know was meant by crazy ass Kathy Hilton. She has a brand over Bravo because she knows what it's more likely. She isn't there for the salary because she is there for the mass market visibility, just like how little the people get paid to be in the Super Bowl. But if you are getting ready to drop an album or something else, merchandise, Rihanna, it gives you such much more appeal than you could ever get from just the Super Bowl itself. She's using it as a platform to pivot from just a corporate executive to a global personality and mogul. If you try to fire her for not fitting in, it doesn't really hurt her because it just reinforces that her brand is too big for the small-minded drama of Beverly Hills. That's how she was looking at them from what I saw from clips from the reunion, like all of them were crazy as hell. The marketing of it all is exactly why Dorit latched onto her. Dorit needed a shield against Kyle and a way to look socially conscious because years about microaggression accusations from Garcelle, who's no longer on the show, now she gets the big black cool friend, and they vibed so quickly because of Dorit's need, but also Bose had a need to basically allow her to make over and act as her shield while she's looking beautiful with it. She's essentially, this is Bose, is renting her strength to Dorit. Aligning with Dorit now, Bose gets a veteran ally to navigate her first few seasons. But notice how Bose still remains dominant in that duo. She's not really being used by Dorit. She's studying this like the scholar that she is. Bose is the one she's setting the tone for the scene, making Dorit look like a sidekick, because we all know Dorit could have never pulled off the classy party that Bose had at her crib, nor this massive Florence trip at that chalet. Dorit does not have access to people with those deep pockets and inheritance. She really doesn't. Why does it seem like she's basically on Amanda Francis's ass? Because Bose is the truth teller. She's calling as she is. She has the real world credibility to expose smoke and mirrors of reality TV wealth. And that's exactly what Amanda is. I was trying to give her some grace. And while she's trying, and also Sutton Now Brown, or her redemption arc, but it really is smoke and mirrors. I don't trust this monotone, autistic on the spectrum bitch. I think what she is serving up is a bunch of hooey. And nothing is tangible. Yes, give me some real world flexes that then I can continue to manifest. Yes, I want to get money, but this is how I get money. If my thing is to get money and I need to be positive that I want to get money, what are the steps I need to do that instead of just saying I just want to get money? That's why it's so scamming and it feels scammy. I don't trust the bitch. Is it because she is now living in Bel Air and is blonde and talks with the monotone? Is that why we should? Because she fits into the mold? She ain't that young. She's 40. And she ain't that young wave that we would all need to be jealous of. Ain't nobody in her square body. Nobody ain't trying to, no. She is calling out what it really is. You can try to say she's bullying this girl, but we are not dumb. She's auditing this hoe. It's hard to fire someone for being too honest about a business when the person is a real renowned business leader. Girl, bye. The only people that's getting rich is Amanda in this. She's the rich bitch because y'all keep buying these janky ass courses. And Bo's ain't stupid. She knows there's an expiration date for black women on these shows. She notices she's coming up on her 3rd season. This is just long enough for her to launch her next business venture, next media company, next tech platform. Then she makes her exit. She's not going out like Garcelle because Garcelle, for all her beauty, she just looked so defeated and exhausted when she stormed off that set after season 14. She stayed long enough to be heartbroken by a lack of loyalty. And I don't think Bose thinks that she is going to get true loyalty from any of these bitches, even though she's making nice with her now, Dorit Kemsley. That right there makes her dangerous. She knows when the push comes to shove, she would leave and give her left tit, this is Dorit Kemsley, to be accepted or to get another season when that is not Bo's reality. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for women like Bose St. John, it's like a corporate merger. She'll extract all the value, fame, followers, platform. And the moment the culture of the show starts to devalue her stock, she'll initiate a hostile takeover of the narrative and walk away a member. I don't think Bose thinks she really is just about her being on this show. She is using her experience as a masterclass while they're filming a reality series. And I can see that. If you watch her closely in the after show, this is the feeling I get from it. I don't think they realize how above the fray she has been throughout this particular season. Dorit continues to look more and more diminished. Kyle is looking more and more frantic. Erica, in her usually put together self, is just looking more and more frantic. It is killing me to watch these women start to deflate against the tide of trauma that they don't have to go through. Who is the real bad bitch of that duo between Dorit and Bose? Is Bose. Dorit is the tour guide, and she is the one that's basically showing her not how to act. Dorit knows where the bodies are buried and how the cameras work. Bose is allowing Dorit to feel safe while Bose quietly maps out the hierarchy. We see you, girl. The veteran thinks that she's in charge while you're actually the one holding the remote. That is funny as hell. And it's true. Bose is refusing to play dumb for the sake of a storyline. She's on some corporate level shit with this whole Amanda Franson stuff. And that's why Amanda's like, why does she keep coming after me? She's not supposed to do that to me because I'm the young, pretty, rich white girl. Yeah, shut up, girl. Nobody cares because your business ain't legitimate. Bose walked in, looked at the spreadsheet, caught the vibes, and called a scam. That's why, because she's a woman who values real-world credentials more than a scripted friendship. Dorit has worn labels and gets drowned in her Birkin like PK quipped last. I wonder when he quipped that he knew that how far behind he was on paying the mortgage on that house that's now in foreclosure. Very interesting. Bose is unapologetic. She celebrates Black excellence and high fashion dominance. She has pulled off and has some of the greatest and iconic looks I've seen on any and most Black women this season. And she's not problematic. That's the thing. She is genuinely, and her daughter is beautiful because she resembles Bose. She's like a light-skinned Bose. And then the relationship between Bose and her fiance and how they interact with Bose's daughter. It is wonderful. She doesn't have to fit in with Beverly Hills because she's forcing them to keep up with her. She's just being her beautiful, dynamic self, and they can't keep up. That's why they're playing Hungry Hungry Hippos while she's playing chess. Checkmate, bitches. She could leave at any time. Not because she's exhausted, it's because she got other shit to do. But Bose had the energy and the ability to leave from day one. She could go back to wherever job that she left, because it sounds like she left all of those places on good terms. After she did what she was hired to do, she moved on to something even better. She doesn't need to wait to walk away after the reunion. She could have walked away, turned around, and about face and left day one when she started on season 14. She's always had her bags packed because her empire was running even before that first scene wrapped. She doesn't need the diamond. She is it. In this narrative where she is not the victim, where invite, fetishize, gaslight, then fire, she's the apex predator because she can't be the victim, because it looks like she is running it. She's making nice, figuring out this game, and then she's running the game. She's Kobayashi Maru these bitches. What if because all of this is a part of her brand life cycle, and it's outside of the cycle, the invite, fetishize, gaslight, fire, because she is running it. When she left corporate America, she said, Bose said this, and these are her own words. When she left them, it gave her freedom. This also applies to Bravo, y'all. She can walk away at any moment when her ROI drops. Y'all better recognize. She's already planning 2 massive weddings, one in Ghana and then one in LA, because even though it was Keely is that dude's name, already proposed, and she's planning 2 big weddings for 2026. Ghana in August, LA in November. Her narrative is around these major life events, and she's already said if they want the wedding content, that they're going to play by her own rules and not the other way around. I have a feeling when they pick back up, if she doesn't get her own wedding special like Candy did, because Portia didn't, because I think she was trying to play ball. But when they do pick back up cameras, they're going to have footage from that wedding, and it's going to be remarkable to see who actually was there and who actually was a part of the wedding party or who wasn't invited, because that is a storyline in itself. And it's also a truth sayer in itself that she didn't need these bitches for her own storyline. She is the storyline and she's running it. She knows that most of these housewife friendships are transactional and it's not a bond. And when you don't treat it as such, you are going to genuinely get hurt. Because when you get dropped by the Suttons of the world, it breaks your heart. But when you know their temporary business partner, you can tell them to kick rocks and move on. And you're not going to be stuck like Chuck or like the Crystal Kungs of the world fussing on a podcast because you dropped your real life friends for these business transactional relationship. And then when you get dropped by this people for what you actually are, now you're just bitter. Sorry. But it's all about risk management. When Bose is very calculated. And you can't tell me, but it's so brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. She separated cast members like Dorit and Kyle because she also knew about probably what was brewing and what had been brewing the entire time that they were in Florence, waiting for her, Dorit, to come down and waiting for her to shoot a dinner scene at 5:00 in the morning because she came down because she couldn't decide what to wear and she was looking for her lip gloss while lying about talking to her kids. Girl, shut up. No, you weren't. And she also probably knew that Kyle was also, who is the queen of this show. Kyle was also tired of Dorit, and Erica was tired of Dorit, and they just needed to be at other ends of this chalet. It's not meddling, it's risk management. They had to get through how many days that they were there so all of them can get their bag. She basically will de-escalate or escalate situation to maintain her own power, but at the same time make it look seamless, because that is how a producer director works. And y'all, again, ain't gonna tear up her friend's generational chalet, because it represents what Bo's brand of luxury is, even though the people that she invited this time were peasants. The edit, and it could be simply said that most of the time these shows love to blame thing on production, the editing, you should just not do stuff. But sometimes when they are gaslighting you to become the bully, she's preempting this by a service to the public. Number one, if you call out this hoe for manifestation business as a scam, she's basically using her real world authority to audit it. Before y'all buy a nary other one of this lady's classes, beware, because I'm sure even though they don't report it, I'm sure someone is pissed off about these classes not working at all because there was no information given, useful information given. If you want to penalize Bose for being a great business person, for being a whistleblower, she's basically legit saying, I'm not a bully. I'm just the only one in this room with a legitimate resume. She said, just because, this is my business, and why are you calling out? Because if your business was legit and not scammy, you would not be getting so upset. Because Bose is not the first one to call a spade a spade. And shame on you if you've made millions of dollars selling pipe dreams and snake oil. Sorry, you are on a national, international platform. You didn't think anybody was going to call bullshit on your thing? Girl, bye. Also, Bose is meta aware. She knows the fans are watching and that the receipts live forever on InstaWebs and the X's of the world. There is unresolved tension because the reunion wrapped in March, but there's a part of it where she's basically, I don't know if this was on Watch What Happened Live or in one of these other shows that she basically watched with her mouth hanging open. She was shocked. She says Bose came off as the voice of reason. She said she wanted to stop the fight between Dorit and Kyle, but she left with her dignity and her business credential and a massive new audience while they were still fighting over the same possible designer rental, that damn Birkin bag. The bottom line is Bose is playing chess in a room full of people playing hungry, hungry hippos. She sees the fire stage coming, but she's already built an exit ramp without permission from anybody. She moves in silence, but when she does move, she moves big. Look at the Mozzie that she bought the daughter. Look at these massive beautiful weddings I'm sure that she is planning. She's already signed the book deal. She's already planning her exit. That makes her the CEO of her own life, and she is exiting based on her terms. And she's probably going to leave more intact than Garcelle, because she expects zero loyalty from these fools. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. Ah, 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 What, y'all, what?